Okay, I know Zoom is in effect here. Let's see. Oh, it's still figuring it out. Okay, so while Zoom is figuring out, I want to say hello to everybody. Let me try to get these screens going. Oh my goodness. Okay, so everyone, how are you? Hey, Wendy from Brooklyn. Wait, let me see who all is in here. Let me open it up. Um, oh my gosh, here we go. All right. Hey, Monica, how you doing? Hey, Myrna, how's it going? Good evening. Zonda. Hey, I love that name, Zonda. Yes, Marina, how you doing? Thank you. Give me compliments on my green. Nice color I got going on here. Hey, James. Miss Ida from San Francisco. That's what's up, California. Hey, Tammy from Georgia and Mary from Illinois. Hello, everybody. Philly, we know Philly's in the house. Always in the house. Wendy from Brooklyn. That's what's up. The ABNC is in Brooklyn. And oh God, I gotta figure out the details. But I think it's gonna be the next ABNC is going to be in Brooklyn. Oh my gosh, next year, 2026, we're gonna be there. Been talking to my husband about trying to get a healing track at the ABNC. So I think that'll be fun to do, to have like a healing track. Um, included. So, hi, Deborah. Thanks for the compliments of my hair. I had to change my look up, y'all. You know, I have to change it up and get some color. Get some color in. I felt like my hair is a little dark. Thank you. Tina, hello. Hey, everybody. I see y'all. Rhonda from California. Boy, I was going to go to California in the next couple of weeks, but I just decided not to. So, how you doing in LA? Dr. Vibe, welcome back, Dr. Vibe. Glad you're here. DMV area. I see you, Edna. Goodness gracious, look at everybody. Y'all ready for you're ready for another chapter here of our book. It's our last chapter. And gosh, I just want to welcome everybody. Let's see if we're on YouTube. Let me look at YouTube and see if YouTube is going. Where's YouTube? Hey, I don't see YouTube. Let's see. Okay. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. YouTube is going. I see we are live on YouTube. Um, I will let that continue to be live on YouTube. Okay. So, family, we ready to talk about ending relationships? It's kind of sad because this final chapter is the final chapter of this amazing book. I don't even know what to do with the next book. I was talking to my husband about it. We went on this long road trip together and I had his ear. So Dr. Boyce was in the car with me for several hours and I had to talk his ear off. So I was talking to him about all of the things, all of the business ideas I had in my head. It's my own personal business person in the car. So he couldn't escape. He had to listen to me talk all about how excited I was about the work that we're doing here in the book club. So I'm real happy about that. In case people want to know some of the new people in here, I am Dr. Alicia Watkins. I am just happy to be here and I'm glad you guys are back. I see some faces in here. I see y'all pouring into the Zoom. Y'all pouring into the Zoom tonight. And so part of our private Zoom community, this is a commitment. This really is a commitment. You guys are making a commitment to your own healing and your own growth. And I think this is something to celebrate. Yay, to celebrate. Okay, people, I am live on YouTube. So everybody on YouTube, I want to say hello. I want to say hello and welcome to everyone on YouTube, the YouTube family. I am very happy that you are here, but you want to join our private Zoom because this is where all the fun happens. It's a very interactive discussion. It is free. You can do one or two things. You can text love to 87948, or you can visit Dr. Alicia Book Club, and then you'll get the Zoom link there. This is free. So come and join us and dive right on in and join the family here. So, okay, tonight's chapter, woo! Tonight's chapter is about when relationships end. Oh my gosh, this is really something, really kind of an interesting chapter. To me, it's kind of sad, when relationships end, it's always kind of an unfortunate thing, and we'll get into that. But I just want to check in with some of you guys because I know y'all received some guidance from all of us, some coaching from all of us last week. So how's everybody doing? I want to hear updates. People put in questions in the Q&A. So everybody on Zoom who put questions in the Q&A, let us know, how did we help you from last week? And let us know how that's all working out. And if you have any more follow-up questions, let us know. Everybody on Zoom, this is your space. This is your space. All of you on Zoom, this is your space. So if you have any relationship questions in your heart, feel free to share them. Share them in the chat. I'll be looking. You can share them in the chat or you can put them in the Q&A. Let me look in the Q&A. Nope, I don't see any questions yet, but I need updates. We want updates on how y'all doing. And we want people, if there's things that you're grappling with, put it in the chat. And it's coaching. It's not therapy, but it'll definitely be some coaching opportunities today. Okay. All right. So powerful, tender topic. We start chapter 9. Look how short this book is. We made it all the way through the beginning of this book. When relationships end. When relationships. Hold on. Wait a minute. We got an update. Eric, I met another friend. What? Okay, Eric. Eric ain't wasting no time. All right, Eric. Okay, Eric met another friend. Sorry, ladies, if you were interested, but we'll see. It may not be, having a friend is always nice, but there's other people. Hold on, you may find somebody in Brooklyn next at the A, B, and C. Okay, Eric, let us know how this goes. Let us know. We can give you some guidance, us and the other ladies, but congratulations to you, Eric. Good. Eric gets back out there. So, last time we met, I know Eric was talking about his relationship and how he ended his relationship. So maybe you can reflect on that a little bit as you move on, Eric, but congratulations to you. Okay. So this chapter is about the human experience. And this chapter talks about kind of grief, how grief comes from letting go. It's the ending, not just the loss of a person, but the loss of the shared dreams. When you first start dating somebody, you have all of these hopes and dreams. Sometimes you could see your future with that person. You just imagine this future. And when a relationship ends, all of that is over. So we have to grieve what could have been. And endings, I think, can be, of course, I think it's a great opportunity to grow and to find clarity and to understand ourselves a little deeper. But we're going to explore how to navigate this process of ending mindfully. Can we? Is it possible to use mindful techniques when you're in the midst of ending a relationship, particularly one that's chaotic and one that may be toxic? Is it possible to be mindful? Is it nice for me to say, oh, you're ending a very painful relationship, maybe you should meditate? I don't know. I don't know if you're in a space where you can meditate, but let us know. Let us know. What was it? What was it like when you were in this sort of space? Anybody remember ending a relationship? Were you able to do it mindfully? I don't know. So let us know what it was like and how you were feeling. Think back to a moment where you had to end a relationship with somebody. I'm thinking back. It all depends. It all depends on if I broke up with them or if they broke up with me. I think it all depends. And I don't know. I don't know how y'all feel about breakups, but I just remember breaking up with somebody, and for me, it happens so suddenly. It happens I'm trying to make it work and trying and trying. And for me, just something pops in me. And then I'm just done. I don't know. I don't know. That's how I am. And I think it's my feelings just kind of go numb. I disassociate from that person. Now, that's how I am when I break up with somebody. What do y'all say? Y'all let me know. What have you noticed about yourself when you break up with someone? What have you noticed about yourself when someone breaks up with you? So I don't know. I just find that for me, um, I haven't had a lot of relationships, but the ones that I have had where it ended up ending, if broke off the relationship, I just remember just being a little bit disassociating. I remember just kind of like being on autopilot. And I just remember thinking, I just can't continue. I just can't. And I couldn't get that thought out of my head. So that's how I am. It's over. When it's over, it's over. I don't know. It ain't over till it's over. And then I remember have had somebody break up with me, and I remember just being like, kind of you could see it coming, and then you just kind of like, okay, that's fine. Just go ahead and break up. So I don't know. I just want to check in with you guys. I don't know. How do you feel about ending a relationship? So let's see. So Rhonda, oh, Tia is saying that's exactly what happened to me recently. I felt like a weight was lifted. Yes, Tia, you just feel like I didn't try. I've done this, I've tried so hard. And then all of a sudden you're just like, you know what? I can't see myself continuing with this. Whew, it's really tough. Rhonda, you actually parted in several relationships over time and had nothing more to give. Yes, you were could just completely done. Yeah, it's just like almost like it's over. Like I'm sorry. There's nothing no one can do. And at that point, that person can't do anything. Like you should have done that before. And then I get impatient. It's just like I really want to leave. Like I get a little impatient sometimes. Women usually get the best of me. Eric, do they really? So when I break up with them, I'm through. Okay. So I'm interested about that pattern. Okay, Lori, I had a hard time fully withdrawing all my emotion from the person and the relationship. Good. This is good, Lori. I think that is pretty common. Like it is so it's hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Like it's really tough to do. Someone breaking up, okay, Melissa, breaking up with me and then asking if we can be friends. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I was okay with the breakup until then. And that's when I got angry. I did not want that person as a friend. As soon as we broke up, that person vanished in my mind. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. Like, there's some people who just can't terminate. They feel guilty about letting someone go. And I think that's interesting. What's your association with feeling guilty and feel guilty for hurting someone's feeling, and you feel obligated to continue contacting and continuing a friendship? Personally, I don't usually do that. I think that that's unfair for my future. My future is unfair if I continue to hold on to old relationships. This is good. I like these stories. Okay, I take time before ending the relationship to make sure that's what I really want to do. And when the decision is made, it's made. Yeah, it's almost like you concentrate on it and you think about it all the time, and you're always talking to someone, and then eventually you're just like, I think it's time, and some relationships actually do have an expiration date. Yes, they do. Some relationships have an expiration date. So, okay. So everybody let me say before I start my book, let me invite people into the inner circle, the people who are on, okay, let me put it into the Zoom. So I'll put it into the Zoom for everyone in case you want to join the inner circle. If you like what you're hearing and you really are interested in finding out what's going on with chapters 1 through 8, definitely you can get chapters 1 through 8 plus a bunch of bonus lectures. I also did an interview with the author David Rico. So we talked. That's all in the inner circle. So be sure to sign up for the inner circle. There's some discounts there for you. Let me go and say hello to YouTube. Hello, YouTube. How y'all doing? Hey, I see y'all in YouTube world. Let me put that in the YouTube here. If you're interested in joining the inner circle, wait, how do I put this in here? Oh, wait, I think it is. Okay. For some reason. Okay. All right. So let me put it in the chat for people there. There you go. That's how you can join the book club inner circle. If you go to Dr. Alicia Book Club, you can, everybody who's watching here on YouTube can go into our private Zoom and talk to us there. But if you're not quite sure, you can just listen in YouTube world. Hello, hello, and hello YouTube. How you doing? Okay, so let's go back. I'm gonna go back here to everybody in Zoom. I just had to say hello to everybody in the YouTube world. Okay, so all right, let's start. So we are starting chapter 9 of this book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships, the 5 Keys to Mindful Loving. And you're looking for the link, Keisha. Let's see, it's in, which link are you looking for? Wait, let us know which link, which, oh, to the book club. Well, you're in the book club now. If you go up to Dr. Alicia Book Club /Inner Circle, and then that'll get you, you can get access to the recordings by going to the Inner Circle. Okay. Good question, Keisha. Good question. I put it in. I guess everybody can see it. Let me just, I'll type it in there so you'll have it. That's the link right there. Okay. So we are starting. Oh, wait, I got to get my light. Let me get my light so I can see. I got this big orb light. Okay, so I can make sure I see. Okay, so we're starting here with this book, page 247. And I got my extra light on here. Okay, it starts with a quote from Sigmund Freud. So we know this is getting into some Freudian type stuff with endings. We know ourselves through our relationship and how we end them. We know ourselves through our relationships and how we end them. How we end them. So if I were to think about like Freudian work, Freud was, in case anybody wanted to know, Freud was, he's really the father of psychoanalysis. So he's the father of psychoanalysis. Freud believed that healing and progression through life requires us to face what he calls our unconscious conflicts and unresolved emotions. And according to Freud, all of this starts when we were really young. And let me see if I think about a child who is having a fun time and it's Halloween and he wants to stay up and eat candy all night. Think about that. A child, it's Halloween night. I know that's me in some extent. It's Halloween night. A child wants to sit up, watch scary movies, and eat candy. But his mother comes in and he says, hey, little Johnny, you got to put the candy away because you ate too much candy. You ate too much candy, you need to put that away. And it's time to turn the TV off because it is well past bedtime. How is little Johnny feeling? Little Johnny is mad. Little Johnny is upset because his mom is coming in or whoever his caregiver is shutting down his fun. Okay? Shutting down his fun and saying you need to put the candy away. You've had enough candy. You turn this TV off and you got to brush your teeth and go to bed. Well, little Johnny is what? How's Johnny feeling? Johnny is feeling angry. He's mad at his mother because he wants to continue to have fun. Now, according to Freud, what did he do with those emotions? Were those emotions suppressed? Were they unresolved? Or did he have a caregiver that allowed him to express how he felt, talk about how he felt? And a lot of times people, for various reasons, may not have been able to articulate, to understand, to connect with all of their emotions dealt with early childhood things. And he calls it kind of an unconscious conflict that happens in him. He loves his mother, but at the same time, he's angry with her for cutting his fun off. So that's kind of like the Freudian way of thinking about it. Freud emphasized through his therapy that you need to come to terms with that. You need to confront those things. And according to his framework, this unresolved grief or trauma can be trapped in our subconscious, and we act it out in our relationships. So what he's saying, that we know ourselves through our relationships and how we end them. So how we interact with a significant other and in our relationships allows us to dig into some of the things that we've never had to deal with. So unresolved grief, all of these things can happen, can emerge in us. And in therapy and his psychoanalysis approach, that this is an opportunity for all of us to be able to dig into it now, to be able to think about limitations, when you had to cut the television off, when your mother left you by yourself, how did you feel? This sense of abandonment, were you able to talk about it and discuss it? And so he untangles all of this, and that we express our feelings emotionally and openly express this. So this process empowers us to replace some of the pain that we felt when we were younger, maybe some of the guilt we felt because we love our mothers, but at the same time, we have these complicated feelings because it's her job to parent us and discipline us, right? So it's a dynamic experience there. And so we have to accept this, and that's how we pave the way for healthier connections, personal transformation. So that's what's interesting with Freud. So what he's saying is that relationships are mirrors to the unconscious, and it reflects truths about ourselves, who we are, and how we interact with the world. So that's basically Freud in a nutshell. I like Freud. I don't agree with everything personally, but I think he did a wonderful job talking about the unconscious, the subconscious, and these patterns, and how relationships hold up the lens to our strengths, to our weaknesses, our vulnerabilities. Pattern. Have y'all noticed there's a pattern in your relationships and how and why they end? I was watching Love is Blind recently. Love is Blind, this latest season. Very, very interesting stuff, but you'll see people get on there. They got on I saw the reunion show this week, and people were on there talking about the patterns. This is what happens. There's one lady who just went from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship. And I was worried about, has she taken the time to really sit and reflect? What is it about her, how she's showing up in this relationship? She's the one that had the baby. Anybody watch Love is Blind, you'll know what I'm talking about. She had this baby, and dated several men and had a baby with a man, and was engaged all within the time span of filming Love is Blind. Quite interesting. Megan, thank you, T. Are you watching that? What is Megan's deal? Having a crazy, right? So where did she come up with the time to learn about herself? We know about ourselves through our relationships. She was really connected to this guy, and then she ended it. I don't know. I think that the guy she had the baby with, he looked like he had a little more money than the other guy. I think she may have been after the money because she kept talking about it. Anyway, so you have to heal from the end of a relationship. And, this is a critical step, and Megan skipped that step. So if y'all watch Love is Blind, it's really interesting. Anyway, so we'll move on. Let's move on. We will move on. Okay. There seems to be no better way to learn what a relationship was really about than to see how it ends and how we are in the ending. All relationships end, all of them, every single one of them. All relationships end, some with separation, some with divorce, some with death, but they go end. This means that in entering a relationship, we implicitly accept that the other will leave us, or we will leave him or her. Grieving is therefore included in what we sign on for. We're already signing on for it to end. All relationships, every single one of them, have an expiration date. Can y'all accept that? But grief is built into all of life, not just relationships. Everything ends because of the giving of endings, changings, transitions, and losses. What's David Rico trying to tell us? He's saying, you better get with the program. You better learn how to end relationships when relationships end. He didn't say if relationships end. The name of the chapter is When Relationships End. You need to come to terms with the grieving process embedded in that. It's inevitable. It is unspoken acknowledgement. As soon as you enter into a relationship, it's already ending. Eventually, no relationship stays the same. It all's changed and it transitions. It's interesting. When I was on my road trip with my husband, I was talking to him about some of the relationships I had. And I said, wow, I dated this guy in college. And as soon as college ended, I just felt like my relationship with him ended. It just kind of naturally kind of ended when college ended. It's really strange. When I was in high school, I had a relationship with a guy in high school, and it just ended. Why? Because high school ended. I just felt like I was moving on. I was transitioning to somewhere else. I knew I was moving on to somewhere else, and I just felt like I needed to shed. I felt like a skin, like a snake's skin, like I needed to shed. Why do snakes shed their skin? Because they're going to grow. They're growing. And so I've always kind of like felt like something that my dad used to tell me all the time. He was just like, when it's time to go, it's time to go. There's no stopping it. It's inevitable. It's a reality. And this reality brings the grief. But I don't remember grieving. Like, I remember like thinking about previous relationships, and I felt a little nostalgic. I mean, there was things about those individuals that I enjoyed, but then you get amnesia a little bit. You can't remember like what you didn't like about that person. And then you're just like, something must have happened. I can't even remember what it was. I just know that it's over. So, I mean, it's just an interesting dynamic that you come into, but sometimes it's just no clinging vibe. No, I just say goodbye to you in this experience. I appreciate the experience, goodbye. So grief is not, and what he's saying is that grief is not just limited to those relationships. Like, I grieve not being a college student. I enjoy being a college student. I grieve not being a PhD student. Like, all of the transitions that I go through, it shifts my identity. Like, I grew. Like, when you get a degree, or when you get a job and you move to a new city, and when you shift, all of these things, you have to let go of something. Sometimes you have to let go of furniture. Sometimes you have to let go of your clothes. Sometimes you have to buy new clothes. Like, my daughter is down in the southern part of the United States. Well, she doesn't need all her winter clothes necessarily. So it's always a transition, and you have to make these adjustments, and you shift your identity. Like, if she had gone to a different type of university, yeah, she would have been a different type of a person. So, and then you need to think about unmet expectations, of course, all of that sense of loss. So what'd you say, Deborah? I grieved losing my job 16 years ago. Yeah, there's wonderful things about this job that you miss. Wonderful thing. Let me tell you, I grieve. I spent 5 years teaching at in the country of Guyana. I grieve that. There's things I loved about Guyana. There's things that I didn't necessarily care for so much about Guyana, but I still miss the people there. And I had a really fun experience. So there's always transitions and a sense of loss and all of these things that happen, the good and the bad. So I think that's what he's saying, that we need to understand that grief is part of the agreements, that we unknowingly, I think that's why he starts with Freud, is that we knowingly, we're unconscious of it. We make the grieving process part of the bonds that we form with others. And I'm thinking that we should take this and approach loss and separation with some compassion. Endings can be painful, but it's a universal thing that everybody experiences. Anyway, let's move on. I think y'all got that point. Let's move on. We haven't made it off the first chapter yet. Oh boy. Okay. The grief at the end of a relationship comes from no longer getting one's needs met, especially the 5 A's. So you ain't getting your needs met anymore. Oh, that's the grief that comes. So the 5 A's, we think we only feel it at the very end, but we have probably felt it during the relationship too. At the end and afterwards, we remember the grief we had felt during the relationship, not only the grief we are feeling as it ends. Perhaps we will not notice it because we were raising children, planning things together, having sex, oh boy, okay, going to the movies, sharing cocktails, hanging curtains. So you're not even thinking about the fact that the relationship is going to be over. You're thinking about the here and now. And in the back of your mind, maybe on an unconscious level that you haven't quite come to grips with, is the fact that these things eventually are going to end, but we're focused on all these other things. We don't talk about it. Ironically, the worse the I'm going to put a pin in that. The worse the relationship was, the worse our grief will be. The worse our grief will be. I don't know what that means. I got some thoughts about that, but I think this is interesting. I want to talk about this one part that says we are grieving the fact that this person is no longer getting their needs met. Like I'm not giving them the 5 A's and they're not giving me. And I think it's beautiful. Wait, who put this in the chat? Rhonda, I can count on Rhonda. Thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda's an important member of our family here. Okay, so Rhonda's saying the 5 A's is attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. We are no longer having that. Yikes. So when a relationship dissolves, we can grieve the fact that that person's not calling us anymore. Right? It's like I used to get my morning texts and my morning phone calls from this person. Now that the relationship is over, I don't get the attention anymore. Sometimes you can miss the affection. You can miss the closeness. God, I used to have somebody that I could sleep with at night, and now I can't get it. I think that's affection. Sometimes you can miss that affection knowing that the relationship is still over. Let me see. The sense of appreciation and acceptance, all of those things are so hard. The person that we once relied on and we once like had great experiences with, you have to accept the fact that it's no longer present. Oh gosh. I mean, and then we have to allow. Grieving the loss of the familiarity is a sense of allowing the relationship we've experienced just to let it kind of be. So that's the kind of grief I think that he's talking about. So this is interesting because he's going on to talk about hard relationships. So this is beautiful grief that's happening, but now he's talking about toxic. Y'all been in a toxic relationship? What was that like? Share that, why don't you? Okay, so here it's saying, ironically, the worse the relationship was, the worse our grief will be. The worse our grief will be. This is because when we end a very difficult relationship, we are not only letting go of a partner, but of all the hope we had for the relationship would work. We had hope that the relationship would work. We are also having to admit defeat in trying to keep alive something that had expired before. We thought wrongly and sadly that those 5 A's were in our partner somewhere. We had hope that our partner could achieve and could level up to the 5 A's. We could see it in them. Woo! We could see it in them. And all we had to do was to keep trying to evoke them, and someday we would see them emerge. We are holding on to hope. We're not living in the moment. We're hoping that in the future, this person can give us the 5 A's. Now we finally have to admit that such a someday will never, ever come. It ain't coming. That person ain't happening. They ain't giving you the 5 A's. You're not receiving the 5 A's. You're not giving, they're not receiving. That can be devastating. So that's even more devastating. I think that's really interesting. I think that's fascinating. It's like you start to fall in love with the person you were in a relationship with at the beginning stages. Y'all, go to chapter, what chapter was that about falling in love? Was it chapter 3? I want to say 3. No, 3 was finding a mate. We got to look at what the chapter was. Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is about high romance. High romance is when you're going to get the best out of somebody. So if y'all want to know what it's like to fall in love and all that beautiful happening in romantic relationships, you got to get the, there it is. You got to join the inner circle. Go to chapter 4, because chapter 4 is about high romance, the beauty of the relationship. It's a phase, a realistic phase of a relationship. And in that phase, you have all these high hopes. You have all these high hopes that this person will give you what you're looking for because they gave it to you at one point. At the beginning, some of us not so much, but at the beginning of the relationship, that person's trying to impress you. You know what they're capable of. And you're hoping for the future that it'll return again. But living in the moment is coming to the reality that this person hasn't given it to you. And so it's time for you to just let it go. And that is really tough to do. Okay, let me see. Are there any, I don't see any Q&A. Okay, no Q&A. I see no Q&A. Let me check in with YouTube and say hello to everybody in YouTube. Hey, YouTube, how you doing? Oh, I see comments in here and everything. Yes, I see you guys in YouTube. But if you want to get your questions answered and all your shout outs, you have to go to the Zoom. And to go to the Zoom, you go to draliciabookclub.com, and then you can get the information for the Zoom. Hey, I just want to say hello to everyone in YouTube world. And I'm going to move on because I'm going to talk about this. This is really interesting. He's getting into it, everybody. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let me see. I got to go to my globe here. But we feel that pain even more severely when we uselessly resist a necessary ending. We're resisting. You're just not at a point where you can come to reality. A necessary ending. Holding on is the painful element of letting go. Holding on is the painful element of letting go. What do we let go of? What do we let go of? What we thought the relationship was and found out it was not. What we thought the relationship was and found out it was not. We tried to make it into and could not. What we hoped it would become and saw that it did not. What we believed was there, but was not there at all. We believed it was there, it was not there at all. The most painful element of grief may be that the last realization that what we longed for was not there to be had. That person can never give you what you need. And you're in a relationship with someone and you're longing for something that that person can't give you. How familiar and especially tormenting that may be if we had the same experience in childhood. If we had the same experience in childhood. We see this described in the first line of a poem by Emily Dickinson. You got to get into some of these poems because they are really talking about it. Emily Dickinson said, "A loss of something ever felt I." A loss of something ever felt I. That's deep. These people were very introspective. I grow up when I admit that early grief, neediness, loneliness, and longingness persist in my adult life. I grow up when I can admit that. So being an adult in a relationship when relationship ends means admitting the fact that your grief when a relationship ends is connected to your neediness, loneliness, longing, persistence in your adult life is connected to early grief. There is always that child inside wanting more. Wanting more. I want more candy. I want to stay up more. I want my mom to sit with me and watch this movie with me. I want attention from her. He is the one who makes me buy those chocolate chip cookies when I stopped at the store intending to only buy cabbage. Only buy cabbage. That is why the steps of grief work about childhood losses. You must talk about it in an appendix. Apply to the end of the relationship also. Childhood losses. So this is heavy, by the way. Ooh, sometimes romantic relationships can provide all sorts of joy, connection, meaning. But the ending of the relationships is a mix of emotions. And that's what Emily Dickinson is saying. She's saying a loss of something ever felt I. So what she's encapsulating is the lingering presence of grief that often accompanies a loss, even as time marches on. So we face the end of a relationship, of course, through separation, conflict, whatever it is, and we find ourselves revisiting the unresolved grief, neediness, loneliness, and longing that's connected to your earlier stages. And if you've been wounded in those areas, you carry that forward unconsciously. And they start to resurface in moments of heartache, heartache. Exposing this inner child who still yearns for reassurance, yearning for love, yearning for validation. Tomorrow, in my healing conversation, I'm going to talk about this lady. Do y'all know this lady? Her name is, look her name up, Kiki. Her name is Kiki Jones. Y'all know Kiki Jones? I'm talking about her tomorrow. Wait, I took a screenshot of her picture. Yes, her name is Kiki Jones. She's the lady who was on Facebook, and she got married to this man, and he was cheating on her or whatever, and the relationship ended, and she's crying. She puts her wedding dress on. She's playing the music to their wedding song. She's got a bottle of alcohol. She's like drunk on Facebook Live, crying, singing the song, and talking about how her man isn't her man anymore and was sleeping with her friend and all of these things. And she just goes ballistic. And apparently DCFS was called, or Child Protective Services were called. I mean, it is a dramatic thing. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow because, oh boy, she is speaking from such sense of pain inside of her. And then, and it's a really terrible thing to witness somebody go through that. And she mentions in her conversation, it's very heartbreaking. She mentions that she had never, ever in her childhood, ever had anybody love her. She never felt love from anybody. And that her husband was the very first person that she felt she could trust. Childhood wounds. Oh my goodness. It's really, really something. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow because maybe I'll bring in some of this. I'll bring in some of this conversation when I talk about that tomorrow, but it's really, really sad. And even Emily Dickinson understands, right? So these early wounds are carried over, and this childlike yearning, it's not weakness, it's a step forward when you start to connect the dots. How is this similar to a grieving process when I was younger? Did you have to move suddenly when you were younger? Did an important adult in your life, were they incarcerated, or did they pass away? Or was there a separation, a break in an attachment that you had when you were younger that was painful for you, that you didn't get to process some of that? So some of those things can come up in our current relationships when there's a loss in a relationship. So some of those things, it's really terrible. Yeah, Janet, be careful not to re-traumatize. I wouldn't share that tragedy. Yeah, I do want to talk about it as an illustration, but I'm not going to be gossiping about this lady. I'm really going to be talking about all of this, like what happens when we end a very painful relationship. And it's just using an illustration because we don't know her personal life or anything like that. She did put a lot of her personal life in her story, but we're just going to highlight a lot of that stuff so that we can learn from it and have a conversation about how does this person, and any of us who experience a painful loss, how do we all move forward? So that's what we're going to talk about. I don't like to gossip too much, but I like it to be really interesting. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, Monica, be invited. It's on YouTube. It's going to be on all over YouTube. A couple of channels will have it on YouTube tomorrow. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Okay, so some of this stuff comes up. And I think these are wonderful illustrations we all can learn from. So yeah, really, really sad stuff going on. Okay, so let's move on. Emily Dickinson, she too has experienced some really hard times. What else to say about this? I think that's it. All right, let's move on. Let's see what else. Where did I end? We have to be, okay. If we have stronger feelings after a relationship than we ever experienced while it was going on, it is a sign that our grief resembles and is reviving past losses. So I think this is what's happening with the Kiki Jones story. It's resembling some of her painful losses. Great illustration. We are grieving more than just this ending. Many endings were stacked inside us, awaiting for their chance for the attention of our tears. Wow. So this is really interesting. This is saying that the things that we haven't been able to resolve emotionally when it comes to losses, they're hanging out in us. We don't even know. We're not even conscious that it's happening, but it's in us waiting to be resolved. Like it wants to be resolved. And I believe that when everybody's ready, it will emerge. When you're ready to deal with whatever is happening in you, every unresolved feeling that all of us have, when you're ready to face it, it will emerge when you're ready. Sometimes you're not ready and it's not going to come out, so you don't have to deal with it right now, but sometimes it is your season. So maybe you need to look at that. Endings and loss and grieving is, okay, this is my time to now come to terms with this. It's ready to emerge. Powerful, powerful stuff. So yeah, I think it's interesting because I have the assumption that all of us have a healing power within us. We all have the healing power within us to heal anything. Anything that's happening to us, we have that healing power. And that's what's waiting to emerge. So I kind of like that. I like that. Okay. During a painful ending or in the midst of a crisis of infidelity or betrayal, our spiritual practice and our psychological work may not be enough to restore us to serenity. That was my question. Are we ready for serenity? When you're going through something really painful, are you ready to meditate? I don't know. Our obsessive thoughts prevent us from meditating for long. There we go. While psychological insights prove to be only palliatives. Ending. Okay. This does not reflect a deficiency in our program or practices. It's just that neither of those work best when adrenaline is fast flowing. If we don't appreciate Mozart or Mona Lisa at this time, for example, it does not mean that art is useless. It doesn't mean, let me stop there because I think that's interesting. It doesn't mean that art is useless. Ooh, okay. I think that's interesting. And then they also say here, during our painful time, our psychological insights and practice. I think, what else are they saying? Painful endings in the midst of a crisis of infidelity. When you're in this crisis, yeah, this is interesting. When you're in this crisis and you're experiencing a painful ending to something, infidelity or betrayal or something, your body is in fight or flight. So there is no meditation that's happening. You're not going to be able to meditate. You're not going to be able to really calm yourself down because you are triggered and you're in this heightened sense. So the adrenaline runs the course through our body, and this heightened arousal, it's difficult for all of us to remain calm, to have clarity. I feel like I used to work in the child courts system, family court. I used to work in family court as a therapist, and there'll be normal adults. As soon as they're going through a divorce, all sorts of stuff happens. And they use the court and the lawyers and they use children as weapons to get that person back. The anger that comes through, it's all connected to earlier experiences. So some of this stuff feels it starts to emerge during this, when really they need to just be calm. It's stopping them from being clear, because what's happening in family court, which I noticed really quickly, the lawyers are the ones taking all of the finances, all of the inheritance is going to your divorce lawyer. But if you can remain calm, you can deal with what's happening inside of you and have that sense of clarity, it will save you financially. And so you lose money in court when you refuse to deal with your stuff, particularly through a divorce and you sharing custody and all of these things happen. It's really, really difficult. So you don't have the clarity, you can't reflect, and you can't come up with solutions. It's really sad to see. So what else is they're saying? You don't appreciate Mozart or Mona Lisa. Yeah, I think this is interesting. It's like artistic masterpieces. I mean, Mozart symphonies are my favorite. I love Mozart. I have an endorsement in music, so I love Mozart. Mona Lisa, I guess it's supposed to be a beauty, but we don't really appreciate it. The beauty, the inspiration, and the serenity. Our minds are racing, and we're consumed with what he's talking about, obsessive thoughts, intrusive thoughts about the situation. And we're not able, we're not able to appreciate art. We're not able to be relaxed. So this is not a failure on our part. It doesn't diminish the value of a Mona Lisa or a Mozart symphony. It's just that I think what David Rico was saying, this is highlighting moments in life where it demands more immediate and tangible things. Our attention needs to be drawn to going to court, to separating assets, to all of the things that lead to dissolving of a relationship. And it highlights certain moments in our life where we need to really pay attention to that. But at the same time, we need to ground ourselves before we can fully reconnect with some of these practices. So I think this is really important to have that kind of self-compassion and understand that, this is what's going on. Okay. All right. So let's move on. At the end here, all bets are off when someone we trusted has hurt us. All bets are off. Someone we trusted has hurt us. You are instantaneously thrust into this confrontation, this issue, okay? In the consequent dissolution, the ego confronts its true state. You're frustrated, you're scared, you're caught in a painful attachment, a very painful attachment, powerless to alter what others may be doing to us. You don't have control over what other people are doing, but you do have control with how you respond to it, because it disrupts your sense of security sometimes, your sense of control, your sense of attachment is immediately shattered when you're confronted with this betrayal. Immediately shattered, suddenly. And it can be a very overwhelming experience where you just feel like I'm powerless. Yes, Rhonda, I find it tremendous, a violation of your whole being. Yes, everything, you just crushed when things like that. One day you can be normal, and then all of a sudden you can find this information or discover something, and then boom, it's just like, it hurts. It really, really hurts. So you find yourself caught in this painful grip of attachment. You can't change it. You have to face some things. So anyway, what is he saying? Oh, the hero, your ego is the hero. The hero arriving at such a threshold can only say, this must be the place. Okay, so the hero is shining up. The ego is ready to dispose of its illusion. There is only one reasonable option for us: to let go completely. That's what he's saying. That's what adults do. When there's nothing you can do about it and there's nothing you can do to change it, it is important for you to let it go completely. Completely let it go. Do not try to force it. This requires enormous discipline because the ego wants to assert itself and regain its power. The ego wants you to hold on to something that you know is over. This must be the place. It's the place where the ego must relinquish its illusions, surrender. You ain't got control over it. Take the only path forward. What is the only path forward? Let it go completely. So letting go requires what? Discipline. The ego wants you in the relationship, preserving your identity as a husband, as a spouse. The ego wants to regain power, resist it. Because the ego wants you to cling to familiar rather than risk what? What happens when we let it go? Things become uncertain. The ego wants you in relationships long past its due date. Yes, Rhonda, you are so right. Allowing is required, moving onward, upward. Discipline is the challenging part. Oh my God, it is challenging, but know that the discipline is helping you to let it go completely. It is your ego that's keeping you in a situation that you know you have no reason to be in. You're in a romantic relationship with somebody and you feel that that connection has grown distant and the other person refuses to acknowledge it. What do? Let it go. But the ego is clinging to this identity of what? Being the perfect partner, or the memory of how the relationship once was in chapter 4 when it was romantic. Resist this idea, let it go. Even in the face of clear signs, arguments that never resolve, lack of emotional intimacy, the realization that both you and your partner, y'all growing in different directions. All relationships have expiration dates. The ego may insist. What does the ego tell us when we know the relationship is over? What does the ego tell us? The ego tells us, if I try harder, I can fix this relationship. You know what else the ego tells us? If I leave this marriage, then that means I'm a failure. I have failed. That's what the ego tells you, to try to get you to stay in something you know you have no business being in. Those thoughts are the ego's way of maintaining the sense of control. Why hold on to something that's dead? It's important to acknowledge the truth, however painful it is, so that the ego can just release its grip. And when the ego releases its grip, that's when growth happens. That's when healing happens. It is difficult to say goodbye. It's hard to say goodbye. I used to be, when I was at my home institution, I used to be the field director, and I used to put students in internships. And you were a student, you're doing your internship, you're learning how to become a therapist, many of them. And at the end of the internship, the student didn't want to let go. And I'll be like, you need to terminate. You need to terminate from this internship. And there would be some students who had unresolved emotional issues that would not let go of their clients. I'm like, you have to terminate with your clients. Your learning experience is over. You need to be talking about termination at the beginning of your therapeutic relationship, because it's not going to continue always. Yeah, I used to tell students this. And there were some students that couldn't let go. Well, they need me. Well, that's your ego. They don't need you. They'll be just fine. And no, you can't volunteer. You have to terminate completely. So the students under when I was the field director, I would make sure that they were able to completely terminate, because that was their learning experience, and then they reprocess it in class. But there were a lot of students that blurred boundaries, and I tried to explain to them, you're not rejecting anybody, it's mutual respect and it's security. The students know, and you have to confront your relationship with endings. What is your relationship with ending something? Where's the ego trying to maintain your permanence at this place, at this agency? It's a very painful process for a lot of students to let go of people. They've been working with them for 9 months, some of them, but they have to let it go. So you have to honor yourself. Okay. All right. All righty. Where did I let go? Okay, discipline and gain power. Are there questions? Oh, Keisha, there are questions? Oh, I see two questions in chat. Let me see the question. Are there questions in the chat? Do you still have your mental health Monday session? Yeah, I just call it Healing Conversations. Yes, Lori. I just call it that. I switched the name of it. I don't see any other questions. Oh, where are my glasses? I have my contacts in right now. Sometimes I wear my contacts a couple of months out of the year. I like to wear my glasses a little bit, give my eyes a break. So yeah. Thanks for asking. I love my glasses though, but I don't always wear them. Okay, let's see. There's some Q&A. Oh yeah, there's questions in the Q&A. Okay. How do a person let go of high hopes of past relationships? Let go of high hopes of past relation. Oh, so there's like a past relationship that you're still holding on to? We just answered that one. You got to let it go completely. And you can reflect on it. God, there's some aspects of this relationship that I really enjoyed. I had high hopes for that. I really enjoyed it. I felt like it could be better, but sometimes you have to let it go completely. Let's see. If we want to learn about ourselves, we should ask our ex certain questions. Now that's a gift. If you can ask your ex, what was it like to date me? It's over. I'm letting it go, but I want to learn about myself more. That's a gift. That'd be great. That would be wonderful to ask your partner those things. Yeah. What was it like dating me? I mean, you don't really need to believe their answer, but it's nice to hear where they're coming from. I think that would be wonderful. That's a gift. If you have a partner, if you have an ex who you have that kind of relationship with, that would be able to really be that honest with you, I think that would be really nice. An exit interview. Yeah, an exit interview. So what was it like working at, what was it like us being together? What were some wonderful things? Like, you want a range of things. What were some things that you really enjoyed about me that I will continue doing in my next relationship? What were some things, areas of improvement? You got to give each other a PIP, what they call performance improvement plan. You got to give each other PIPs, Deborah. I like that. I like the PIPs. Okay. Moving on. Okay. Here we go. Last two paragraphs for today. What time is it? Oh, it's almost at the top of the hour. Oh my goodness. Yet our work during a breakup is also immensely simple: to witness the events and players rather than be a player. Wonder what he means by that. We let the chips fall where they may and use the pieces we are left with as the building blocks for whatever comes next for us. There will be a next chapter through, though it is hard for us to believe that there will be another chapter. It will be just as, it's hard to believe it. It's not over. There'll be another chapter. Grief shuts the door to the future, so it can have us all to itself. Grief shuts the door to the future of that path, so it can have us all to itself. When the time is right, the door opens on its own, believing that will take faith in evolution. Believing that will take faith in evolution. Finally, leaving may not be about wanting to get out of the relationship. May not even be about that person at all. It may be a way of getting some space or breaking out of the doldrums rather than a commitment on a partner's suitability. Sometimes it's not even about, sometimes you just need your space. A relationship has ended when all it was needed was some time out. So sometimes I do recommend that for some couples. Maybe you two need to take a time out. I think our work during a breakup might be simple, but it's profoundly challenging for us. It's just challenging. Sometimes we have to step back. We need to step back and from the instinct, and resolve the endings on our own terms. So relationships carry deep emotional investments. I think that's the thing that's so hard to let go of. Our identities are entwined with another person's presence. It's like they say your name together, the roles we inhabit. And you got to say, I got to let the chips fall where they may. Allowing the relationship to end, don't resist it. Don't resist it. Allow the relationship to end. Confront the grief of losing a version of you with that other person, a version of ourselves tied to that connection. So it is a loss of identity. That's hard. So you lose yourself. Moving on is hard, Brenda. Woo. So grieving is I think it's a painful role. Closing the door on the future we envision so that we can fully process the present. Honor your loss and the overwhelming discomfort that arises because we are conditioned to avoid vulnerability of letting go. Resist sitting. We want to avoid sitting in the rawness of heartbreak. And we want to avoid sitting in uncertainty because you don't know what the future brings. But what David Rico is saying is that it will be a future. You'll see. Something will come. So it allows us to take up these pieces of our past that we thought made us whole, and we can begin this work of rebuilding, building something brand new. That's hard. That's easy said than done. So I think it's hard because we have this natural inclination to fix things, to mend things, to return to something familiar. And when you end a relationship, it's hard to return to something familiar. I'm actually sad because the book is over. I'm grieving the end of this book because I think it's really good. So I don't know. What is David Rico telling us? He's saying that, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? What is David Rico saying? I think he wants us to change our view of relationships as the ending of a relationship should be seen as an opportunity of self-discovery and growth. I think that he's challenging us to confront some of our attachment issues, understanding some of the lessons embedded in that. I think that we need to practice releasing things that no longer serve us. And that's how we grow. It's like a snake. It really is like a snake shedding its skin. Like he's got to get out of that skin. Can you imagine what it'd be like? How uncomfortable it is to be in this shell of a skin when you really need to like break free. So ending becomes less about the finality, but more about transitioning toward something deeper, something better. That's what I think he's saying. Shedding is easier than the new skin. The shedding is easier than the new skin. Okay, I like that, Jen. I like that. It's over, end it with as much ease and painless as possible. That would be lovely. David is giving us clarity of shedding unnecessary mental, emotional baggage. Yes. Oh my gosh, Rhonda got it. Boy. And in the moment, it may seem really, really devastating, but actually it's a necessary step. So I think you need to be kind to yourself. I think you need to trust the process. Trust the process. Allow the unfolding to happen. Don't force it. Don't force a relationship that's not going to be there. What do y'all think? Okay, so we can say goodbye to YouTube. I'm glad people in YouTube joined us. Let me see if I can tune into YouTube and say hello to everybody. Let me put in the information if you want to join the inner circle and get the recordings. There it is into the YouTube. How many people watching? Oh, we got a few people watching on YouTube world. Welcome. But you can join us. You can get the recordings. We're on chapter 9, but you can get the recordings of 1 through 8. I think when I'm done with this chapter and I read the appendix, I may go back to the beginning and read a little bit about the 5 A's because some of that information may have been cut off. So I think that's important. Let's see. Next week, let me see what's going on next week. I don't know what's happening next week. I may be traveling again on Sunday, but we'll see. I may make it. We'll know. I don't know. I'll send you a notice out to see what's going on next week. Woo, we're at the top of the hour, everybody. Thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for taking out time and joining us. We're family on a Sunday night. Anyway, we'll continue on. Guess what? Next time, moving on with grace. That is what David Rico wants us to do. He wants us to move on with grace. Moving on with grace. That's important. So that will be what we talk about next week. And I want to say goodbye to everybody. Goodbye, Dr. Vibe. Goodbye, Rhonda. Goodbye, Tia. Goodbye, Juanita. And all the other, there's a bunch of other folks in here that's not saying goodbye, but goodbye to everybody. And I will see y'all. If I don't see you next week, I'll see you the week after. But anyway.